Dr. Beaubrun, every Wednesday, by the way, every Wednesday, that's from 10:30 to 11. And we were talking about the gut, and you were just explaining so wonderfully, really, kind of deliciously, I would say, with regards to the esophagus and then down the
into
tract.
the stomach.
Please.
Okay, so once it gets into the stomach and the stomach acid gets involved, then it gets broken down further. And then when it gets to the intestine, that's where what's supposed to be the fully digested food gets absorbed. And that's what we want.
But
That's why we're eating,
but
to
you
get
said-
the nutrients.
You said the operative word, the fully digested.
The fully
What are we doing
digested.
wrong? What are we doing wrong?
Okay, so it's not all our fault. What is happening, and back to our 5 devils. So for instance, let's talk about flour or gluten. The wheat has been modified so much that our body no longer recognizes it as a food.
No.
So the enzymes cannot actually break down the gluten, the wheat that we eat. It cannot break it down into the particles that are needed for digestion. So when it gets to the intestine, it sort of forms an allergic reaction. That's a very simplistic way of explaining it, but
Well,
there's
the
so
body-
much more.
the body thinks
The
it's a
body
foreign-
thinks it's a
some
foreign
foreign
body.
thing,
It reacts as an allergic reaction. It damages the lining of the gut. Now, the lining of the gut, remember I said there were cells. The cells are tightly together. They're very, very, very tiny spaces between each cell. That's the norm.
Am I right in understanding it becomes like a sieve? All these holes begin.
Well,
to...
not quite. So it is. I'm trying to get an analogy. So imagine boxes or blocks that are tied together. So you have cement, and the blocks are tightly, like a good mason is cementing the blocks together. So you have tiny spaces, and under normal circumstances, the fully digested food is absorbed through the lining of the cell wall,
Easily.
not through where the cement would
Right.
be, because there's nothing there. It's blocked with cement.
Yeah.
Just a basic analogy. With leaky gut, and that's when it's destroyed by the crappy food that we're eating, stress, a few other things, antibiotics to name a few other things. Imagine the cement being eroded. There's no cement. So when this thing gets to the wall of the gut, it's absorbed through the holes between the blocks, between the cells.
So it gets to where it should be.
It should not be getting there. This should not be digested because it's not fully broken down. So the partially digested food is then being absorbed into our system. It's not being recognized as food or anything that the body inherently knows.
Yeah, it's foreign.
It's
a
a foreign body. You
And
have
our body
it
will
set.
attack
It
it,
attacks
really.
it, and it attacks it by causing what, in a basic situation, you have irritable bowel syndrome. When I was 15, they told me I had irritable bowel syndrome. I had the most horrific cramps and pains after I ate certain things. I never knew that. I would get headaches.
Yeah.
And these are
It's
some of
quite
the
common.
reactions of irritable bowel. But what I'm trying to tell people, irritable bowel syndrome is a diagnosis of exclusion. So do not come to me and say you have irritable bowel syndrome without being fully investigated. You could well have colon cancer. You understand? So leaky gut syndrome or irritable bowel syndrome is a diagnosis of ruling out all the other severe things that can also mimic with some of the symptoms, like diarrhea, a change in your bowel habits, pain or bloating after you eat, constant burping, or you taste the acid in your mouth. There are lots of symptoms associated with gut issues that go across the board.
Can you illustrate a case without naming names? And illustrate a case where somebody has come in and they've just said stomach aches, burping, and you think, okay, irritable bowel syndrome, but we have to do.
Well, that
you know.
happens. That happens all the time.
Yeah, illustrate it for me.
But okay, so somebody will come in. I have heartburn. Oh no, not I have heartburn. I have reflux disease.
Yeah.
Because you know it's on TV now with Nexium, so everybody knows that the purple pill treats reflux. So doc, I have reflux. So why do you say that? I have the heartburn. I have the taste of the acid, because they've gone online and Googled it, so they know all the symptoms to tell me that they have. I have the bloating after I eat.
Right.
That brings me, let me tell you a story as you say that. So there was a patient who came in and said, I'm losing weight. That's one
That's
key
a
thing.
bad sign, though. Wow.
Unless you're trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
I'm losing weight. I feel well. key thing. When I eat protein, I get bloated. We had tested her for every single thing before.
Things like what? Illustrate.
We had tested her for anemia, for her
Mhm.
thyroid, whether she had diabetes, her blood pressure was good. She didn't have any enzyme deficiency. She was good. Bloating after, and her bowel habits were a little funky, you know,
Very erratic.
erratic.
Mhm.
It's not like she's bleeding or anything. Okay, not a problem. I said, bloating. Ovarian cancer and colon cancer can mimic those symptoms.
Oh, that's frightening, isn't it?
Very frightening. So we do the first layer. I don't believe in going and tick off everything off a lab form because it's costly to the patient. So we did the first layer of test. The basic, as I said, normal. Comes back, still the same symptoms. Can't see anything on ultrasound, can't feel anything. I said, okay, you want to find, I'm going to find you. We checked her for ovarian cancer, we checked her for markers for colon cancer. She had ovarian cancer.
My gosh. How long do you think? Can you tell?
I don't know.
And
The
what-
ovarian cancer mimics. But what I'm trying to say is, she ordinarily thought she just had gas
And she could have been popping a pill.
and bloating, but she was very aware of her body. So she didn't want to come in, and she came in to check. We never thought, for the life of me, honestly, when I saw the ovarian cancer, I went, oh my
Yes,
goodness.
Yes, I bet you didn't think it would be.
I was hoping, I mean, I'm doing the thorough checks,
Yeah.
but you know, you take it and like, okay, let's rule it out. When you check to rule something out, 50-50, it's either coming back positive or it's coming back negative. So these are the issues when I say, when you have gut issues, irritable bowel syndrome or leaky gut can be part of it. But there are also other gut issues. So within the stomach, what people call the belly, you have the digestive system, you have the liver, you have the spleen,
There's a lot.
you have the kidneys, you have the pancreas. Little lower down, you have the uterus and the ovaries. So anything below your breasts down to your pubic area, that whole cavity in there, we call it the abdominopelvic area. There are lots of organs in there that, and some of these things, they're so closely related because they all lie on top of each other. So that's how they work. They all nicely, the lining of the bowel,
Compact, yes.
they compact so that the intestines sort of smoothly roll across each other, while the liver just sits and something fits under there, and the stomach just fits on, and the spleen just goes behind it, and the little pancreas comes and fits its head straight into that area. And it's a beautifully illustrated thing, and when it works well, it works really, really well.